Thank you, everybody, for joining us at Business Essentials this morning. I'm Pauline Chung, the Director of Communications and Marketing for the San Mateo Area Chamber of Commerce. Today, we're honored to have Dr. Meg Spicer, chiropractor in the San Mateo community. She's been in private practice for 5 years, and she has a wide variety of techniques to offer her patients. And today she's going to specifically talk about our new home office environment. As you know, many of us are working from home during the pandemic, so she'll have some helpful answers and tips to how to alleviate pain and aches caused by working from home. So please stay muted. You can use the chat to put your questions in. We'll hand it over to Meg, and we'll come back for a wrap up. Thank you very much. Here you go, Meg.
Thanks, Pauline. So hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Meg Spicer. I'm a chiropractor here in San Mateo. And today the topic is going to be, is your home workspace actually harming you? One of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of people are expressing to me that their workspace is not working for them. It's causing a lot of discomforts, and it's actually irritating because they're not getting out and they're not moving. So, and part of it too is that their workspace isn't really designed for that. A lot of people are making do with what they've got. And so my goal for you today is to be able to address, number one, like give you some tips and tricks on how to identify what's not working in your home office. Some people are on countertops, some people are on kitchen tables, some people are sitting on their bed, other people are sitting up against the wall in a quiet room. So how can we be able to modify our workspace so that it's not only we're productive in that space, but we're also not making ourselves miserable and getting injured in the process. So what my suggestions will be is how to be able to identify what's not working, how you can be able to modify your setup, and how you can, and offer you, of course, some proactive tips on some steps that you can do to be able to not just modify your space, but also kind of change a little bit of your behavior patterns when working with that. So ergonomics is about the efficiency and the comfort of in a working environment. So this applies to a variety of activities, from not just people who are working at a computer. They're also doing food prep and cooking and drivers, and they're building houses, and they're also cleaning houses, and they're sewing, and they're sitting, and they're lifting. And this can all make or break our bodies. And so today my focus is going to be exclusively on folks who are working on laptops at their home office and giving some education on what you can do to be able to reduce your aches and pains. All right, so next slide, please. Great, so who here can relate to this being our body? Like that 1 second, you're like, oh, I just need to add this into my computer, right? Like I just have one more thing I need to add. And the next thing you know, you look like this guy and you're curled up in some weird contorted position. And next thing you know, 20 minutes passes by, you watch a YouTube video, you catch up on your social media, whatever it may be. And now we're starting to feel the aches and pains. So, like, do you ever remember like back in the day when people sat in coffee shops and you would walk in there and you would see that people were actually hunched forward in this position? And so when we sit for those momentary, just to try it out, oh, well, I got to get something done. Sometimes we get stuck in that position. So my goal is to be able to help you get out of that. So the pain, the dysfunction, and then leaves the quality of life being affected by this. So next slide, please. All right, so what is the source of the issue? So if you can hit click next, just one. Great. So right here is when you ever get up out of bed, you ever stand up from your workspace and you're still sitting and your low back is excruciating. Or maybe you're at the gym, you're working out, and all of a sudden you start having this knee pain or this ankle pain, and there's nothing that happened trauma-wise to cause the knee or the ankle pain. But now we've got this thing, and so you take a break, you rest, you maybe take 2 days off of the gym, and then you go back to the gym or your home exercise routine or your walk or your run or whatever it is, and it still isn't really getting better. Next thing, please. Well, oftentimes what happens is our sitting postures can actually cause symptoms in our low back, cause dysfunction in our low back, which causes symptoms that travel down the leg. So you can also have dysfunction of the low back without feeling actual pain. We can feel that pain or dysfunction or numbness or tingling further on down the extremity, like I said, in the knee or the ankle, and that can all sprout from the low back. Now, the ankle or the knee can be caused by something else, but more often than not, it's actually caused by a lot of our sitting postures and our lifting postures. Next slide, please. So bad postures can wreak havoc on our body. It can cause pain in our neck or mid-back, low back. It can cause pain in your shoulders and your wrists, even in your feet. You can have some issues as well, right? We also see numbness and tingling in your hands, as well as numbness and tingling in your feet. And that can be caused by different areas throughout your spine that can be causing that. And so again, it goes back down to how our posture is in these environments. So oftentimes I see a lot of headaches and eye fatigue that occurs with bad posture as people are leaning forward in these undesirable positions. And then what it leads to it is then we become a little bit more tired, a little bit more fatigued. Maybe we don't really want to go out because we're not feeling too hot. And then might be a little bit more irritable because we're not able to get things done the way that we want to because of this pain or this discomfort. And then all of a sudden our concentration our focus is being distracted by all these different things, or even maybe we don't even know what's distracting us, but it still isn't necessarily making us feel all that great. So, we're not really being as productive as possible. And part of that is your posture. And there's a neurological explanation behind it, which I'm not going to dig into today. But part of that is that if we are hunched forward, we actually start to shut off the full functioning of our brain. And we start to go back to the rudimentary survival stance. So good posture, next slide, please. Good posture will actually alter the way that we feel. It'll alter the way that our brain is able to process and intake data, not just how our bodies are positioned in space, but the information that we're receiving and that we're trying to be able to maybe process or be able to produce. Also better energy increase, right? Because we're getting more oxygen into our lungs. So we're getting more oxygen throughout our body. And then, of course, our performance is going to be better because our brains are functioning better, our bodies are feeling better, we're having better circulation. So we're going to feel a lot better in our mood. And then, of course, you're going to get more stuff done. Next posture, next page, please. So this guy is probably something that we can all relate to. And I want you just to look at this image and see, maybe in your mind, like, is this you? Is this somebody that you care about? Is this somebody that you've known before, you've seen? And you didn't quite realize, like, that doesn't quite look right, but I'm not sure how to be able, what's going on. So first of all, let's look at this. His neck. He's leaning forward. So can you click through a couple of those, please, Pauline? Just 3. Perfect, stop, thanks. So look at where the way his body is postured. So he's looking down, right? So that's not getting our brain to function the best capabilities, right? Because we need to be upright for that. And then he's reaching forward. So part of what I look at is if you're not directly upright and you're actually leaning forward, that center of gravity, instead of being in the low back, now that center of gravity is going to be in the upper back, maybe in the chest area. So those low back muscles are going to try and pull us back to the upright position. So that's where a lot of the low back pain starts from. I also want you to look at, now it's good that his feet are flat on the floor. We want that. We want the bottom of our body to be supported by the seat of the chair, and we want our back to be supported. So he's got 2 of those 3 points that are being supported within this chair. But oftentimes that's where we're going to have the low back pain. Now look that the tabletop is higher than his elbow height. So now that's not only causing him to reach forward, he's reaching up out of alignment, and his hands are basically close together. So, I mean, I want you to think about a time when you were working on a laptop and you felt that cramping in your upper back, or that tenseness in your shoulders, or even just a little bit of that wrist pain that you're like, this just doesn't make any sense. I've been able to do this so many times before. Why is this bugging me today? Well, because you're probably not working in the best workstation. Maybe somebody that you care about is not working in the best workstation. And this is going to be, unfortunately, a little side effect. All right, next page, please. So it's a little outdated of a photo, but it's honestly the best one that I could be able to come up with. So if you could click through a couple of the words, please. Great, one more. Perfect. So now what I like about this image is that the person is sitting upright and their back is supported. So they're looking straight forward, right? They're not looking down. So as you're looking straight forward, now you're having good communication for your neurologic system. All your bones are nicely stacked. It's not stressing out your ligaments. It's not straining those muscles and putting them in a compromised position. And then what I want you to see is so the idea is that we want that monitor to be at eye level. So the upper 1/3 of that monitor screen should be at our eye level. So you shouldn't be able to look over the top of your screen, nor should you be looking down at this. And this is where I start to talk about what is going to help in your workspace. So a laptop is great. It's portable. There's a lot of uses to it. It's incredibly convenient. But when you're working at home, I highly encourage you to look into getting an external monitor. You can still have all the same connections, be able to utilize your device, but the external monitor will keep you sitting upright in your posture in that chair and looking straight forward. Because our heads were not designed to be looking down at our belly buttons all the time. Our necks were designed so that we could look over our shoulders, so that we could be able to see where we're going in traffic, so that we can be able to see if somebody's coming up behind us, if we need to move or whatever it may be. We're not designed to look down all the time. We need to be able to look out and around. That's why our head is on top of our shoulders. So having that external monitor is going to help reduce the neck pain, reduce the eye strain, right? Because the external monitor is going to be bigger than your regular laptop. So that screen's going to be easier for you to be able to have better visibility of the words that you're looking at on the screen, maybe the images, the pictures, or even whatever fine detail that you're being able to manipulate to be able to create your own presentation, for example. Now, the other part is super important is look at how the ear is above the shoulder. Now, this isn't the perfect picture, but this is the closest thing I could get to it. I like how the keyboard is at the elbow height. However, the problem is that that keyboard is almost a little too far forward of the person's body. So ideally, we want to see ear above shoulder, above elbow, and it just a straight down line when you're looking at a profile of somebody sitting at their desk. So if we can get that in this image, if this person could be able to move their keyboard a little bit closer, that keyboard tray is fantastic. So that's where I would come in and recommend that you get yourself an external keyboard for that laptop. At home, you don't have to carry it everywhere with you when you travel, but at least when you're spending the majority of your time in that workspace, you're not hunched forward in that tiny space, and instead you're able to relax your shoulders down, your elbows are resting by your side, and your hands are resting just above your lap. Now, if you don't have a fancy desk at your house, which most people don't, then you can be able to do something like putting a pillow on your lap and putting that keyboard on top of that. And that allows, of course, everything to be in its neutral location to be able to reduce a lot of the strain. And then the final piece of this picture that I really like is how they've got a footrest. Oftentimes when people get those ergo desks that modify stand sit, they put them on top of a current desk surface that's fixed. But the problem with it is that they typically are about anywhere from like 3 to 6 inches higher than the original desk height. So we need to modify that. And instead of looking further up, I want you to raise your chair up a little bit and put something underneath your feet so you've got support. So when you're sitting, your feet need to be supported, your tuchus needs to be sitting on that chair, and it needs to be all the way up against the back side of the back support of that chair to be able, that's the 3 points, to be able to support how our posture sits upright. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so now it's time. So now you know what's wrong. Now you know how to be able to modify your space. I also recommend really quick that you can get somebody to take a picture of you at a profile view of, like, have your kids take a picture, your spouse, your neighbor, whatever. Have someone take a photo of you on your workspace so that you know what you actually look like. It's you know, you can brush your hair in the morning, but you don't know how your hair looks until you actually look in the mirror. And so that's how it works in our workspaces. If we have an actual photo of us, then we know where we can be able to start to break that down. Now that you know how to be able to look at that, there's a couple other little pieces. So what I've got is the 20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away, out the window, down the hallway, whatever it is, for 20 seconds. That helps to reduce about of eye strain. That will also cause you to reset your posture. So if you find yourself in that hunched forward position, you can be able to bring yourself back. And then of course, it helps your eyes to be able to refocus. A lot of folks who are on computers have glasses, and this is just the nature of the beast, but it doesn't mean that we have to make anything more complicated. So taking those rest breaks for your eyes doesn't mean that you're stopping from your job. It doesn't mean that you're being any less productive than necessary. In fact, what you're gonna find is that when you hit that reset button, when you look 20 feet away for 20 seconds, every 20 minutes, it's going to help your concentration, and it's going to get better longevity and quality of your vision. Next one, please. So a big thing doing as well is to stretch. So some stretches that I really, really like to do are for the neck and for the low back and for the wrists and for the shoulders. And I'll go over a couple of those right now with you. So oftentimes we're hunched forward, we got upper back pain, things of that nature. One of my favorite stretches is, I'm gonna have you guys actually, if you can with me, humor me and stand up. I'm not gonna stand up, well, actually, let's see if I can do this. So I'm gonna stand up. I've got this really great rising desk top that I love. And I'm gonna stop right there. Great. So, so you're gonna start with your arms in their prayer position. And it's really good if you're standing up for this, because otherwise if we're sitting, we're not really engaging our whole body and you're not able to get your spine and your low back the way it needs to be. So you have your hands in this position. You're gonna take a breath in. Bring your arms up, exhale out, squeeze the shoulder blades together and pretend that you're wiping the walls with the back side of your hands as you're slowly bringing your hands down and exhaling out. All right, come on, you guys, I know you're still sitting. So please go ahead and stand up with me here. No one can see you. This is the privacy of your own home. One more time, you're gonna put your hands together in the prayer position here. You're gonna take a breath in. Inhale in. Exhale as you separate out the elbows and squeeze the shoulder blades together as we wipe the walls with the back side of our hands all the way down to our sides as you're exhaling out. And it's fantastic because now we're getting better blood flow. It's opening up our chest and it's taking some of that tension out of the back, because honestly, the reason why this hurts is because this is so tight that this is being stretched. This is not the problem. The problem is your posture, if you're having pain there, right? And if your setup isn't great. All right, and then there's another one that I really like. That's my easy go-to. Now the other one that's really great, and it's probably not gonna be the easiest way to see, but I want you to scoot forward in the front of your chair. You're probably not gonna see it too well, but you're gonna reach out with one leg, put your heel on the ground. So let's start with the right leg. Heel down, toes straight up in the air, good straight spine. And we're gonna take our left arm and we're gonna lean forward into that. See if it's kind of hard doing this in a webinar. So you're gonna lean into that. Keep that chest up nice and high. You're gonna, or keep your back up, looking at the wall in front of you, and just drop your chest down to that knee. Breathe. And exhale and just take it just a little touch further. Never bounce. Bouncing is trouble. Don't hurt yourself with that. Now let's go to the other leg. You're gonna put your left leg forward, heel down into the floor, toes straight up, straight leg as we go through this. Sitting at the edge of your chair, and with your right arm, you're gonna do a little stop sign hand, and you're gonna reach forward, keeping your spine nice and straight, bringing your chest all the way down to that knee, as close as you can go. Great, so those are just a couple little basic stretches that you can be able to do. I've got a lot more than that in my bag of tricks for everybody. And the more that you stay taking care of your back and your body, the better longevity you're gonna have. And everyone's gonna be a lot happier. Next slide, or next click, please. So like I was saying before, one more click, please. You wanna be able to do mouse. You wanna ideally get yourself an external mouse, get yourself an external monitor, and get yourself an external keyboard, and that way you can be able to keep everything you've already got, and you just spare your back, your arms, your shoulders, everything, right? And then the next one, please. Blue blockers. It makes such a difference when you can be able to block that blue light for your eyes. Again, eye fatigue, eye strain, that's a big deal. Longevity of your eye quality as well, right? And then the next one, please. And then every hour, get up and walk. Like, go drink some water, go use the bathroom. Every hour, set that alarm. Set the alarm to send yourself a message that you are grateful that it's a beautiful day out, that you're grateful that you've got people who love you and in your space. Make it a positive one, and then just get up and move. Reward yourself because you've worked hard. And even if you're not as productive as you want to be, you're going to be a heck of a lot more productive. The more that you get up and make your blood flow, it's going to help your brain function again. Next one, please. And that is me with my best friend. So on that note, I just wanted to thank you all for your time today. And if you have any questions, I'm here and available to answer them. We got a few minutes to go. And I just want to encourage you guys to get up, move, take care of your bodies. We're so grateful that we are, our bodies need us, or sorry, we need our bodies more than our bodies need us. And pain is the first thing to come and the last thing to go. So get up, move, take care of yourself, and have a fantastic day. So do we have any questions?
I do have a question, Dr. Meg. When you were talking about the keyboard, the mouse, you didn't mention your wrist rest. You know, this little thing that I have for my wrist as I'm using my mouse. I find that if I don't have that, I'm very uncomfortable with my hands.
You know what? I don't like them.
Okay, tell me why.
I find, because part of the issue is that if you're typing like this, you're probably going to want it. But if you actually have the keyboard the way it should be, you shouldn't need anything through here, and your fingers should be on the keys.
So I'm not using it for the keyboard. Actually, I'm using it for the mouse.
Yeah, so the problem is that your elbow is planted, so you're pivoting off that wrist.
Okay.
So when you're mousing, you want to move from the shoulder. You want the whole arm to move. If you're moving just that wrist, yeah, repetitive strain injury, right?
Good to know.
So what I'll do with those is, a lot of people love their mouse pads, and I'm that person who flips it on them. So they don't use the wrist rest, because honestly, that wrist rest is going to lead to a repetitive strain injury. It's like wearing a brace while you're walking. Like, you want those muscles to develop. If it hurts, maybe you should be finding a different time to brace, not when you actually need it.
Okay. I just switched it over. I reversed it to see.
Lower your desk or raise your seat up so you're not putting yourself into that kind of contorted position. Everything should be really natural, right? So you shouldn't be up. You should actually have that shoulder resting, ear above shoulder above elbow, and then all that surface should be right down here, not resting up here. Okay. So part of it might be is that your whole system is too high up. It's hard to say without getting an actual image of a sideways view, but you're always welcome to submit it.
Okay.
Send me a picture, like have your neighbor take a picture of you and send it in, and you and I can break it down.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.